So I guess my first question to you all is just tell me about your business. Tell me like the history, what made you want to do what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. Your origin story, if you will.
One thing with her, it was kind of her always dream to have a little store with a farmer's market and sell produce and lunch meats and the things that we sell. That was kind of in her head for a few years. We wasn't really looking for a building to do it in. It was just kind of one of them things.
Right.
We'd go into those little types of stores all the time and enjoy them. She's like, oh, I would love to just do this someday. And we used to do the 127 yard sale every year. We used to drive all the way to Lake Cumberland and work our way back the rest of the weekend. And while we were camping down there, we started talking about that store, the building, the town. And on the way back through, we stopped in and seeing if there was any for sale signs or anything, because we was like, somebody should do something with that building. It's nice, it's such an old building.
So it was vacant at the time?
I think it sat there 3 years vacant.
It was just over 4.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And there was a for sale sign on the window, just a little like you'd see on a car, and it had a phone number, and that was it. And we called them, and they were basically like, that's...
they were happy?
They had to deal with maintenance and other things that were going on there. So about a 4-month process from the time we decided on a price to the time we closed, because it had to go through several different avenues to get it to into our hands. And then we spent almost 2 years rehabbing the building.
And that's before you opened the doors?
That was before we opened
Yeah,
the doors.
it took us a year to knock it down, just to take out every Band-Aid that they had pretty much put on it. The Poland family had it for 70 years. And they did a really good job of keeping up with everything. And then as soon as they had sold it, it changed hands pretty frequently. And from there on, the maintenance just went really downhill. So when we went through it, the first time we walked through it, there was trees growing in through the sides of it. The floor was rotten. We knew we couldn't do anything. There was many people that said, just turn the lights on, open it back up. This town needs this little store. And we knew we couldn't. It was in such bad disarray. So it took us a year to pull it out, every single bit of it, upstairs, downstairs. And then we waited from the state to get our permits. They would not let us put one thing back in there without our permits. So we waited for 6 months for that.
Right. So what made you think, hey, I think we need to do pizza in here, or we need to do, how'd you figure that out?
Well, when we first bought it, we knew we wanted to do something with it. She was kind of at the end of her teaching, ready to retire and take on something new. And every single person we talked to was like, good pizza. We want some good pizza.
Yeah.
And she was already kind of working on some crust things with the pizza and sauce. So we're like, all right. And she said, let's do wood-fired. So
well, we cook so often on the fire at home. Like, that's one of the things that we do. We cook outside a lot, and we've always done our meals and things on the fire outside. So I think that was where my head was, is keep it simple and just do it the basic wood fire and not have too many items on that menu. And I think that that's one thing that's always missing when you eat pizza, is you never think about the crust. You always think about the sauce, you think about the toppings, how cheap it is, whatever else you get with it, but nobody ever thinks about the crust. So that's one thing I definitely wanted to do, was make it our own.
Mm-hmm. And so how many are working for you?
We've got like 28 or 29 employees now.
Altogether.
Yeah.
That's
a lot.
Most part-time.
Yeah, of course. Okay, that makes
sense. That's something that I'm pretty proud of, too, with Glencoe, just being the largest employer in Glencoe. And it was one of those things where those great kids live in this neighborhood and they have nowhere to go.
Right.
And they can't get back to Warsaw to work because they don't have they can't drive yet. They don't have the resources to get them back and forth, and they walk to work. So almost every single one of my beginning employees were our people that were right down in that town. And I still have some of them that come over and walk to work, 2 or 3 times a week. And I have a new group of kids, every year that are coming up. They're walking in, tell me when their birthday is, because they are ready to be employed at the store. So that's been really nice. That's probably the thing I'm the most proud of, I would say.
Well, and I do think it's hard to explain, but the importance of being someone's first job.
Yes.
And teaching them that they'll be there with them their whole life.
I say that all the time. This will be the most important job you've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And I love having them for their first job, because I treat them well. I love them. I respect them, and I'm hard on them.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the same expectations that I have for myself that I have for them. And sometimes that's challenging. That's hard for some kids. And I
Right.
say that.
Right.
They walk in and they want an application, and when I know them or whatever, I say, this is the hardest job you will ever have. You
Yeah.
know me.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I am going to expect perfection. And I do. And I do. I mean, it doesn't always happen, but they rise to the top because they do respect me, and we do love each other. And I think that makes all the difference in the world. They want to work for you. And they want to work for you.
Work well and work hard.
Yeah.
Well, and
yeah.
you're teaching them those skills is like, if it's 4 o'clock,
That's
need you
right.
here at 4, right?
That's
Like
right.
these are, this
Right.
matters. These, and
Right.
it's fun. It's fundamental stuff that
Right.
stays with you your whole life.
I say that
really
to
matters.
them. I've learned this from Ray. He's a very good boss to his employees, and I say this a lot to the kids. They'll say, "Well, so and so, whatever," and I say, it doesn't have to be equal. It just has to be fair. It has to be fair. And if it's fair for you, it's fair for her. It's fair for everyone. It's not equal. Not
Right.
everybody is equal, and I don't treat all of them equal. And I've learned that from him. And I think that's where we were talking about some of them rising up to the occasion.
Right.
They're 16, 17 years old. They're the managers. That they are in charge of even sometimes people that are older than them. And that's because they can do it. And I know that wherever they go after they leave me, they're going to just keep growing. And,
Right.
and I'm so proud of all of them. All the ones that are going on and going to college or going into their trade schools or going into their final job is what they tell me at 19, which is not, it's not the case.
So optimistic.
That's
you think
right.
that, yeah.
That's right. But they're ready. And I love that. Having that final, everybody always says, do you ever think that you would have wanted to teach high school? Well, I kind of am.
You are, yeah.
I kind of am. And I do feel like most of them are ready. If not, I'm going to have to keep them for a couple more years. Let the parents know. But yeah, I love that. That's a neat aspect about having them all the different stages of their life.
Okay, so just kind of going back a little bit. So the menu is, I wouldn't say primarily pizza, but I've eaten there. There's a lot of stuff. I'm seeing
Too
a wall
many
of all kinds.
things.
I was very impressed with the strawberry shake one day, and it brought me a great deal of happiness as I was driving around drinking a shake. Like I've never had one before. Like I was like chain drinking. I don't know if that's a thing, but yeah, I was like I need to get this done in 3 minutes, and then lament that I feel sick, that I drank too fast, and that the shake's gone. It was sad. But what else do you all have though?
Well, we do make our own breads. So we make white bread, wheat bread, hamburger buns. So those hot sandwiches that are on that homemade bread go into that wood fire oven. That's probably my second favorite thing on the menu. They're so good. I never eat cold sandwiches anymore. So that's one thing that we sell a ton of. Chicken salad, can't keep that in.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought? That is one thing we go through, about 10 pounds of chicken salad a day, which is crazy. And I'd say chili. That's probably our number one after our chicken salad and hot sandwiches. We make our own chili.
Wings, people really love the wings, and I'm very surprised that on how many people say that these are some of the best wings we've ever had.
Yeah.
I hear that. I'm only there on the weekends usually, but I do hear that often with the wings.
Yeah.
So that's way up there on the list.
Yeah, our chili has been awarded many awards, right, at chili contest. So we have the number one chili in Boone County for sure.
It's great.
Hopefully Gallatin County eventually.
Now, and I think you touched on this just a little bit, but what do you enjoy about doing business in Glencoe? Like, what is special about that location and being there and being part of that community?
You want me to take that?
I'll take it.
Okay. Okay.
One thing I like a lot is not only the inner Glencoe community. It gets broader countywide. People on this side of the county come through there, and then there's all the people who have farms in Owen County or Grant County that come through from different areas of either South 71 or up around Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, and they'll come in every weekend, especially through the summer, and we build relationships with all those people week in and week out, and I don't know, you just make new friends and keep the long-time friendships going by having a place to see them at, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think it's nice that we're 2 miles off the interstate. I think it's such a little secret. I know Ray doesn't like when I say this, but Glencoe is one of those little cities that is just waiting for more businesses and more opportunity to come in. He's already looking at me like, shut up. But I think Glencoe is one of those cities that's been overlooked. And we have put a lot of our eggs in our baskets in Warsaw and Sparta. And Glencoe the location is so important to our county. We've got this wonderful fairgrounds. We've got so many opportunities there that I think we'll just keep expanding on it. And I think the store was the one thing that kind of kicked it into gear a little bit for Glencoe. As soon as we put that paint on that building, I said, I think I've told you about this. I noticed everybody around there just cleaning up their properties and just taking more pride in it. And you hear people saying, well, I'm from Glencoe. They never said that before.
Right.
You know, those are things where when I'm up in Florence, I heard somebody at Kroger talking about, oh, that little pizza joint in Glencoe. And I'm, what? Really? Like, that's what people are really, they're starting to realize that Glencoe has something to offer. And the more things that we get in there, the more opportunities for our community will grow, and then more families will have more opportunities to do things with their children. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, plus you're offering a destination. Well, you've created, and I'm just the first time I've been in there, just passing by, it's inviting.
Thank you.
Right. So I mean, if you're just zipping down 120 and you see it,
yes.
it sticks out.
Right.
And then also the nice thing about 127, you probably feel comfortable enough to turn around and drive back.
Exactly.
I can go back a half mile. It isn't like 4 lanes of
That's
traffic
right.
and I got to wait,
Yes.
3 miles, and then by the time you kind of forget.
Mm-hmm.
So it's from that point of view, it's like, it does distinct.
And we're fortunate to be on 127. I mean, that's right on the strip where everybody takes the Bourbon Trail. They go to the Arc that way. We have customers every day from different states, from Canada, from everywhere coming into the Arc, just telling us the different things. Going to Neely's, they're all on those destination trips, and the store is part of that, where they stop and they eat, and we get to hear those stories. And that's another thing that Glencoe really needs to capitalize on as well, is just being on that trail. So many different trails. The cyclist trail, we're on that. We had the cyclists from Cincinnati and Lexington and Louisville meet at our store, and they did the loop the other on Saturday or Sunday. There was 40 cyclists when I opened the door at 11 o'clock. So 50% of our customer base is people traveling from outside of our little 3-4 counties that we usually typically touch. So that's something that we capitalize on as well, just being, that visibility. And all the different groups that do put us on their little register. That's one of the things that they're putting on for the motorcycle tours. They're putting the little Glencoe store picture on their map. And that's I'm proud of that as well.
So not that you two are not into enough. So that's not what I'm saying. That's not where this question's going. But is there anything, like any other businesses you guys want to get into, or? I'm gonna say I just felt like there's something more. I just got the impression.
He says no because he owns Integrity Electric, so he's got his own business. He had his own business before he met me, and so he says no. I have in my mind definitely 2 more.
Okay. Will you share? What are the 2?
We own that little white house across the street. My dad grew up in that little house across the where the bank is. So kind of catty corner to the store. That White House, I want to knock that down, and I want to put 2 businesses in there. So that's my plan. I try to ask most people what they want when they're coming into the store to see why they don't want to have to drive to Uptown. They call it Uptown Florence or wherever else they're going. So I know where their head is and what they want in there. I just don't know if that's feasible for Ray. So he says no. So
just be happy with award-winning chili. Why can't that be enough for you?
Exactly. I know that is a very good question. I don't know if
maybe down the road.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 years. Or
yeah,
something.
like a
We might do
5-year
something
plan,
like
because we're fixing upstairs right now. We're renovating the upstairs of the store.
And what do you want to do with that?
I would like to sell where I live now and live up there for a little while and find a farm in Glencoe. That's my plan.
That is
and then
a
turn it
5-year
into
plan.
turn it into an Airbnb.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes, we have so many people that go through there looking for places to stay, and of course, everybody who has Airbnbs around by me in Riverside, we have their cards. We call, but they're usually full.
Right.
So a last minute would be great to have that option upstairs. And I know that people want to get their hair cut in Glencoe. They want some sort of a beauty shop, salon, gender friendly. I think that should be somewhere across the street from us in one of those in one of those storefronts. That's my thinking. So we've got a 5-year plan.
So how many units do you think you could put upstairs?
It's just going to be one. It's going to be a 2-bedroom because I'll use it as my office too. Right now I work out of my car or in the back of the very back. It's terrible. It's not good. Yeah. And so I would love to have that upstairs finished with it next spring so that I can actually have an office. So that's really what I'm thinking is renovate upstairs, get that office ready, and then 5 years. Our 5-year plan is to have something across the street, have a farm somewhere close down here, somewhere within Glencoe city limits.
I know nothing about farming, but I don't think that's really an easy hobby though either.
It's not.
I don't think that's an easy.
It's not an easy hobby.
I don't think that's an easy.
He grew up on a farm, and it's not. That's why he's an electrician.
It seems like endless, relentless work is what it looks like to me.
It is.
Well, I don't know if we'd be doing a lot of farming. It's probably more
hobby farm.
Yeah.
With some fainting goats. Yeah.
We always called it a city farm.
Yeah, city farm. Yeah.
Well, not really a whole lot of.
And the next thing you'll be growing for your.
Yes.
And then it'll be in the pizza somehow. It's just.
I do that anyway. He built me a greenhouse.
Okay. Yeah.
At home, and that's where my tomatoes start from. That's where our cherry tomatoes, all that kind of thing, like our basil, all that stuff always starts in there. And then I have a little garden behind the store that I didn't do great at this year, but. That's where I'm thinking is having a hobby farm that's close that we can have our own ingredients and get it there to the store, because I really like everything we do is pretty much fresh. I don't like to have, I love it to be organic if possible, but I would love to have our own gardens that we can pull from for the store. That's my thinking.
Well, and I think it adds to that narrative. The people who want that experience probably want that story of I picked a tomato.
Yeah,
that went on my pizza.
It is true. The guy cooking your pizza does run outside and pulls the basil out of our garden, and that might be why your pizza's a little darker on one side, but it's got that fresh basil on there.
He left the oven for
a minute.
10, 20 seconds too long.
The people are always shocked at that. They're like, "Really? You did? That's where it's coming from?" But yes.
It adds to it, though. It's that it's an experience. You're gonna drive a little bit if I'm assuming you're living outside the county. You're going to drive a little bit, but this is the experience you're getting.
That's right.
Or everything in the county.
That's right.
Like that, so.
Yeah.
No, it makes perfect sense. I like that. So that's really good. And then just to wrap up on this one, and you mentioned a little bit talking about the chamber. So you've been able to kind of meet and work with and chat with, I guess, like-minded entrepreneurs thinking kind of like that, and you've enjoyed that.
Yes. I love being involved in the Gallatin County Chamber of Commerce. The business owners are so kind and so helpful, so nice. It is not one of those cutthroat, I do well, you don't. I don't feel that.
I agree.
I feel so supported. So, a lot of the other businesses that have been a part of the chamber have been established, 10 years or plus. So just having those resources of knowing that it's okay, you're going to go through those lulls and you're going to experience, the shortages and the economy changing, and just hearing their stories, that's very helpful to me because, like I said, this is the first time I've ever owned my own business. So I'm anticipating hitting that 5-year mark, and then fireworks go off, all the problems go away. And we are almost right there since we've owned the building almost 5 years, but I guess that's not the case. So, and as you're talking to other members, they're like, no, it's cyclical. It's going to come and go. It's not going to be once you hit that number. It's over. There's always different challenges. So, and I think that's important to have those resources to rely on. And I love the fact that it's a smaller county because I can call them. There's not one person I don't think I couldn't call and ask advice from. So
it is easy, or it's amazing how easy it is to get to the person you need to talk to.
Yes.
To resolve something.
Absolutely.
And I feel that just with the library when we have an issue with something,
Yeah.
which thankfully we don't have very many issues, but if we do, it's like it's a call, and I've got the right person.
And that's a testimony, I think, to Gallatin, as well, because the people around here, most of them are from here. You do have people that move in, and they're always welcome, too, as well. But when you're in that small county, it does feel like it's a home, and they take care of each other, and you can rely on them. I know that I could call and ask for anybody to do anything, and it wouldn't be out of the question. So, and I didn't feel that way when I was, teaching in other counties.
Right.
This is probably why I think that I wanted you to invest in Gallatin. That's probably why I, wanted to do this in Glencoe, is because I do feel that for this community. Like, I think we'll probably never leave Gallatin.
Right.
And I would love for all of our, money and resources and energies and everything we have to be put into this county. And I'm excited about the future with it.
Do you have any upcoming events, though, between now and however long you want to think
Well, we
in the
do have
future?
Santa coming to the store the day that we do the parade in Warsaw. Santa's
Okay.
going to be at the store. I'm not sure about what time yet. We will post that. It'll be in the paper and it'll be on our Facebook pages. But he does come, and that's a big event.
And that'll be December 10th.
Yes, and I just don't know what time because he comes to Glencoe, Sparta, and then Warsaw.
Okay, great.
So sometime in the afternoon he'll be there, and that's a huge event for the community. We always have tons of kids that come for that, and that's pretty. That's coming up in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. That's our next event. Do we have anything else after that?
Nothing scheduled till spring, I guess.
So we will definitely be doing farmers market again in the spring. Somebody else is going to take that over for me, and that will be so much more farmers I want involved, not just the craftsmen and like the local artists. I really want it to be, because we're in a food desert.
Right.
I really want people to be able to come down and get fresh produce pretty much all summer long is what I'm hoping. So that's where my head is with that. I would love for the city to get involved too. I know we have some new councilmen on Glencoe City Council. So I would love for the city to kind of help take that on as well. We have a great space next to the city building. We just need to figure out how to utilize that. So I'm thinking there's a lot in my mind on that coming up next year, just to take that even further and maybe even put it down toward the city building, get it a little bit away from the stores, so we start expanding that community. It's not just us. That.
And I think probably with stuff like that, it just takes. It's like once it catches,
Yes.
but it's getting to that tipping point, whatever
Yes.
that is.
It's getting there.
It's kind of like when you hear about some area that has all these successful food trucks, and you're like,
I know.
How did that become a thing?
Right.
And you're right. And it's just
Right.
Because we've talked about that. It's like, yeah, wouldn't that be great if on Mondays? Because we thought Mondays would be the best day.
Yes.
What if we brought in, and we're still going to try to kind of kick that idea around.
I think it's a great idea.
But it has to be consistent, right?
It
You have
has
to
to
know
be
it has to be
consistent.
every Monday,
That's right.
at 11 o'clock or something like that. Just the thought of, because when we try to think like that, we're not ever trying to compete with business.
Right.
We're just trying to think of other
Right.
ways to help other ones.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what, so I think that's probably where you're probably at with you're probably this close.
I know. We're almost there.
and then also you're like, well, it's, it's good. That's part, you're kind of like,
I love that.
Congratulations.
I love that, because everything that she does well there, I think that is stuff that we just need to transfer it to Glencoe. We just need somebody in charge of that.
And ours, it alternates every other Saturday.
Right.
So
It's not a
competition
competition.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think that they're rooting for us just as much as we're rooting
Oh,
for
for
them.
sure.
Thank you so much for coming in, both of you. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
and
no problem.
This was great.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
it was
having us.
fun.
This was cool.
Did you have a good time, Ray?
I did.
Don't sound so surprised.
He'll be back next Wednesday.